Thank you, Mary Clark, for beginning this morning with us with Sunshine in My Soul as the who knows how many how much is starting today with more rain. We got to remember that there is sunshine, so we're thankful for that. I am thankful for each of you being here this morning. I would like to quickly introduce those who are here in the meeting house. This morning we have Sharon Reinard, who is with us. It's good to see you in the house, Sharon. We also have Norm and Karen Peters and Marcia Holliger. Behind Marcia, we have Dave Longnecker, and in his row, we have Shirley Erdl, Nita Burton, and Marcia Critch. It's good to see all of you guys. We have behind them Dennis Engel. Good to see you, Dennis. Doug and Kathy Simmons. And behind Doug and Kathy, we have Brian Lilly and Rob and Val Pearson. So thank you all for being here this morning. On the other side of the meeting house, we have Sally Tucker and Teresa Wallace. It is good to see you guys here this morning. Behind them, we have Eileen Critch, Ellen Craig, and Cleo McFarland. And behind them, we have Savannah and Christian Hartzell. It's good to see you guys this morning. Thank you for being here. We know that we probably won't see you in person very much pretty soon, so thank you for being present. So it's good to see you. We also have Kristen Sherman, Michael Sherman, and Josiah Sherman here today. And behind them, we have Tom Harold. So thank you all for being present. We also have Mary Clark and Ron and I up in front. On Zoom this morning, we have Bill and Joyce Wagner from Muncie, Indiana. It's good to see you, Bill. It's always nice to have you here, especially on a rainy day like today. We also have JC and Paul Craig from Tacoma Park, Washington. It's really good to see you guys this morning. And Maryland, sorry, Tacoma Park, Maryland. I grew up in Idaho. What can I say? Yeah. We also have Lois Hogue and Dave Miller from Sarasota, Florida. It's good to see you guys this morning. We have Nate and Becky Edmonds from Muncie, Indiana. Welcome. And Becky is home. That is just great news. Becky is home. So it is good to see you guys from your house this morning in Muncie. We also have Dwight Ferguson, who's helping us with Zoom this morning, and he is from Bella Vista, Arkansas. Thank you, Dwight, for being here. And I thought that was Mary Williams, but it must be a son that you have with you. Let me unmute you. Introduce your son, please.
This David.
David Williams.
David, yeah, I figured. Thank you. It is good to see you, David. Thank you for being there with your mom. We wish we could be there too. So we appreciate you being there. So thank you. It is good to see you. Also, we have Jeff Clark. It's good to see you, Jeff, from here in Mary Williams and her son are in Fishers. And Jeff Clark is here in Winchester. Welcome, Jeff. It's good to see you guys this morning. It's also good to see your wife this morning, too. We have Pat Engel, who is here from Winchester. Welcome, Pat. It's good to see you. And Janet Ross, it's good to see you this morning from her home here in Winchester. And we also have Charlie and Valerie Boyd from Wichita, Kansas. I'm sure Charlie's a bit slow this morning after your day yesterday. It is good to see you, Valerie. Thank you for being here. We also have Angela Ferguson from her home in Raytown, Missouri. Is that right? Yeah. Yep. Good. It's a quiz every Sunday. Kent Craig from Goshen, Indiana. Welcome, Kent. Suzanne Weber from here in Winchester. Welcome, Suzanne. And Stan Hendrickson from here in Winchester out at Summers Point. Welcome, Stan. Thank you all for being present this morning. Ron is going to lead us in a few hymns.
Good morning, everyone. It's really great to have you here. Thank you for making the effort to be out on what may be another wet day. We are grateful that you came anyway. We're going to sing number 200 number 2 in the hymnal, right in the front. We're going to start with that one. And the reason that I decided to use this one was all of the time that I spent staring at the floor and the sumps all week, that water was coming in here like a fountain. And I think that it would be good for us to invite Christ, the fountain of life, to come in here today. So that's why we're going to sing, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. This was all a blessing this week. It's just in pretty tough disguise. But we'll figure out where the blessings of it are. So here in the room, if you are able and willing, it'd be great if we could stand as we sing number 2, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
Streams of mercy,
Since you're already up, see if you can find somebody whose hand you haven't shaken and thank them for coming to worship today. All right, if your hymnal is still within reach, please reach for it and turn to number 211. This is one that we don't sing all that often. Pam and I actually, I think, probably first learned this, at least I did, when we were in Africa, sitting in a little mud hut with a bunch of Wycliffe Bible Translator staff people in the little village where we lived. And they loved to sing, "Oh, the Deep, Deep Love of Jesus." It is a hymn that talks about God's love like an ocean. And again, that's been a lot on my mind this week. So that's why I chose this, but I also chose it because it seems like every time we're out in the yard, or when I'm out mowing, or just about times like that, the Presbyterian speaker up there, it's not a real carillon, but they play "Oh, the Deep, Deep Love of Jesus" pretty frequently. And so I get to hear it all the time, but I don't get to sing it all that much. So this morning we're going to sing number 211, "Oh, the Deep, Deep Love of Jesus." Thank you for that great singing. Thank you for singing these flood hymns. We're actually going to sing the one that Mary started off with her prelude. So we'll wait and sing that at the close of the meeting. But it's the real flood hymn, so stay tuned.
As Ron alluded to, it has been a week. And I am just, let me read the second query. Ron's second query was, what spiritual truth from the flood story might be an encouragement or help to people recovering from the floods today? I thought about that a lot, because there is much that we can learn from what has happened. First of all, I want to say what has happened here in this building is pretty minor. While we are all exhausted from from sucking up water and from moving things and from trying to keep things dry downstairs, it is so minor compared to what has happened just miles south of us. I think of the people who have lost their lives in this flooding. I think of the people who have lost their homes and their businesses and are having a monumental task of cleaning up stuff. What we are experiencing is so minor, and it's pretty hard to call what has happened to us a crisis. Excuse me, I'm going to do the closed captioning. So what has happened to us is pretty minor, but at the same time, it is a crisis. And I have also been thinking a little bit about the announcement that they have had on local radio about the people in Cambridge City to beware of people who are out there saying they're from FEMA and getting all of their information, and they are not from FEMA. They're not official people. And so that just kind of adds insult to injury when you've lost everything in your house and somebody shows up and tries to scam you for what has happened to you. So we live in a world that is just kind of full of crises, and we never know when they are coming. So I would like to share with you just a brief devotional from the Center on Contemplation, and I just thought this was so perfect for today. It says, "The crisis begins without warning. It shatters our assumptions about the way the world works, and it changes our story and the story of our neighbors. The reality that was so familiar to us is gone suddenly, and we don't know what is happening. If life, as we experience it, is a fragile crystal orb that holds our daily routines and dreams of order and stability, then sudden and catastrophic crisis shatter this illusion of normalcy. I'm referring to natural disasters. We experience that with the tornado. In a moment's time, life changed for so many people. We can identify three common elements in every crisis. The event is usually unexpected, and there is nothing that anyone can do to stop it from happening. Even if there are signs everywhere that something is not right, we tend to ignore the warnings and the signposts. Not even skywriting or messengers from other worlds would be able to shift our gaze from the comfort of our daily routines. Thus, devastating hurricanes and tornadoes and floods catch us off guard. And when the unexpected happens during a communal crisis, we are not alone. I am so thankful for that. We are with friends and with neighboring villagers, and we all experience the same break in reality. Bereft of words, all of us hold the same question: how could this be happening? I consider crisis contemplation to be an aspect of disorder that prepares communities for a leap towards the future. This is a leap towards our beginnings. We are not just organisms functioning on a biological level. Our sphere as being also includes stardust and consciousness. We all have a spark of divinity within, a flicker of holy fire that can be diminished, but never extinguished. In the midst of all of this, in the midst of difficulties, in the midst of hard work, in the midst of life changing in a lot of ways for a lot of people, the fact is that we are together as a faith community and we are walking with each other, we are helping each other, and we are praying. I can't go down to Cambridge City right now. Nobody should be down there to help them out. But we as a faith community know that they need our strength, they need our prayers, and they need our support in a very, very difficult time. I found that absolutely essential for what has happened to us in dealing with a basement full of water. It has been the people of this meeting, the trustees of this meeting, who have jumped in to help, and I am so thankful for that. None of us have to face this alone, and we are blessed beyond blessing for what has, for walking with each other through times like this. Thank you all for being present this morning.
I would guess most of you didn't bother to look up Genesis 6 through 9 to get the historical context of what we're going through here in Indiana this week. So I'm going to read a little bit of it to you just to remind you of the story. We all learned this stuff. You know, the hymn that I really wanted us all to sing this morning, the Lord told Noah to build him an arky, but it's not in the hymnal. I don't know why they didn't put it in there. So we'll have to work on that. And it's been so long since we sang that, I can't possibly remember all the words. But that's been on my mind all week, that's for sure. This is the story that gave rise to all of that. When men, humankind, began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit will not contend with people forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be limited to 120 years." If you remember, Noah was 600 years old, I think they say, when he went into the ark. So God put some limits on the longevity of human beings, evidently, at that point. Starting with verse 4 then, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days. No one knows exactly what those were. They were giants, and some theorize that, in this telling anyway, that they may have been partly divine, partly human. It's very difficult to decipher all of that. But they were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children with them, and they were heroes of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great humans' wickedness on the earth had become, and that every inclination of the thoughts of their hearts were only evil all the time. The Lord was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. So the Lord said, "I will wipe mankind whom I have created from the face of the earth, men and animals, creatures that move along the ground, the birds of the air, for I am grieved that I have made them." But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and our Dutch friends call the third one Japhet. I grew up being told it was Japheth. but it's Japhet, I do believe. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So, Noah, make yourself an ark of cypress wood, make rooms in it, and coat it with pitch, inside and out. And this is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Make a roof for it, and finish the ark to within 18 inches of the top. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. I'm going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens, every creature that has the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, every kind of animal, and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them. And I love the last verse of Genesis 6. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. That's a pretty good response to a long list of instruction like that. The story goes on. 40 days and 40 nights of rain, hundreds of days floating around, then more days sitting on top of the mountain waiting for the water to recede. What an ordeal. You've all heard that, probably for all of your life. We cannot possibly imagine what that must have been like. I tried this week, as I was thinking about all this, to imagine what it must have felt like for those folks on that ark. And after it rained for about 2 days, I was done. I just wanted to know, God, when is it going to stop? This seems like it's an endless deal. I cannot imagine 40 days and 40 nights of nonstop rain. I can't imagine the desperation that they must have felt. I can imagine how those folks not in the ark must have felt when this got started and they had to remember, he warned us. And he even invited us to come on board. But we thought he was a crazy man, and so we didn't listen to him. It's kind of worthwhile to think about what that must have felt like for all of those folks going through that great flood. That's what I spent my week thinking about. I also was really impressed. I remembered, but I went and looked at it again. This is in Hebrews, the 11th chapter, the great long chapter about faith and faithfulness. And Noah got included early on that list of the people throughout history who had been faithful to God and the reward that they received from God because they were faithful, even in the midst of a world that was, as you just heard, so horribly corrupted and so not interested in knowing or obeying their Creator. That verse from Hebrews chapter 11 simply says, by faith, Noah, when he was warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family. By faith, he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness that is in keeping with faith. He had no guarantee that what he was being asked to do was going to work. He had no guarantee that he and his family would still be alive when this was all over. But by faith, he trusted God. He did what he was asked to do. Again, that final verse. Noah followed God's instructions explicitly, even though he had no clue how it was really going to turn out. That's pretty impressive stuff. One of the things that I hope you'll wrestle with is this whole thing that I put in before the story of Noah about the fact that this is the 11th chapter of Genesis. The first 12 chapters are considered to be, or the first 11 chapters at least, are considered to be oral tradition rather than documentable history. A lot of people have a problem with that. And they say, well, if it's not really true, then why is it in the Bible? And if it's in the Bible, then why should I trust anything else that's in the Bible? Because it's not really true. It's oral history. It's oral tradition. I don't know where you come down on that. And it doesn't really matter to me all that much. Because I think the more important question is simply, what are the principles that God is trying to teach us by allowing this to be in the Bible and to remain there for all this long time? And that's what I chose to write about, particularly on the back page of what was sent out. There are spiritual principles that are absolutely true, whether this is a story or whether this is documentable history. And so those things on the back are the things that I hope that you will latch onto and hang on to, that God's heart is broken by human sin. God grieves the fact that we disobey him. The second thing is that God notices costly human faithfulness. He honors it. He will honor us. God does not. Sometimes it feels like God treats groups of people and good guys get lumped in with the bad guys. Sometimes it does feel like that, and maybe it's true, but God never loses track of the ones who are being faithful to him. And he will honor their faithfulness, and he will care for them and accompany them through even really difficult times, even if they're part of a large group of unfaithful people. God will not forsake his own. That's a really important thing to remember as well. God notices and cares about our faithfulness. God works through covenants. God makes promises to us, but we have to honor our half of the covenant if we expect to receive the benefits of God's half of that covenant. And so I've spelled that out as well as I could in that next to the last or so paragraph. And God does not forget us. You can imagine that Noah and his family floating around for 150 days without seeing land or anything must have begun to think, this thing's going to sink one of these days and we're toast. They just had to have had real crises of hope while they were there with no points of reference at all. They had no idea where they were or where this thing was floating to. It is hard to imagine what that must feel like. Lost in space, I suppose. But God did not forget them. God knew where they were, even if they didn't know where they were. And God orchestrated an outcome that served God's purposes for this great tragedy to the earth. We need to remember that. That's a principle. God doesn't lose track of us. God does not forget us. God knows what we're going through, and God will be with us to help us. God offers us his covenant of life. It is spelled out in the scriptures. God does his part. The question is always up to us. Are we willing to do our part? The queries that we've posed at the end of this. Number one, what is the most important spiritual truth that the great flood story teaches or reinforces in your personal spiritual journey? What do you learn from Noah's experience? Number two, what spiritual truth from the flood story might be an encouragement or help to people recovering from floods today? Part of our job as the followers of Christ is to be an encouragement and a help to those around us who have suffered. We're going to have opportunities for that in the days and weeks going forward. This is a good question to ask ourselves. How can we encourage them? By telling them about Noah and God's faithfulness to Noah. Number three, Given God's covenant with Noah not to repeat the great flood, do you think God uses other kinds of disasters to punish people? Why or why not? This is a philosopher's question in a sense, but it has a whole lot to do with what we believe about God. I'm curious to know how you respond to that question. Number 4, what is the best understanding of the oral traditions in Genesis 1 through 11? Is it literal history, inspired recollection, or something beyond that? Again, would really like to know how you respond to that. And I jotted down a 5th question, which is sort of like the first one in a sense. What spiritual lessons are you learning from going through this week? We should all be learning something. What is God teaching you about this particular crisis that we've faced? We would love for you to respond to those queries as you are led by the Spirit. Online, Pam will be here to help unmute, and in the room, Rob Pearson has the mobile microphone back there. Be glad to bring it to you. We hope that you will respond as God nudges you to share something that might just be something somebody else really needs to hear. It might be very helpful to their faith journey. So please be faithful. Let's wait quietly in the Lord's presence and obey what he asks us to do.
I don't know if I have to wait for the camera.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
The Odyssey is a really hard, and I like the fact that it closed caption put the Odyssey and rather than Theodicy in there. It's not inappropriate, just interesting. Um, in the middle of that conversation of why do bad things happen to good people and does God deliberately punish, my mind goes to 1 Corinthians 13 and love keeps no record of wrongs. And then I ask the question, who keeps record of wrongs? If God is love, who's keeping the record? And really the answer is we keep the record. This is maybe not completely fleshed out thought, that one of the pieces of Christ's death on the cross was an attempt for us to understand that we don't have to keep record of our own sin. That God doesn't keep record of it. God has forgiven it. We offered it up and God has forgiven it. We hold on to it. And I want to pull in the reading a book and that's being offered for book study for FUM hashtag. And one of the points in that book is that the revelation of God is hard to grab a hold of because it's so abundant. That sometimes we think that God's revelation is so scarce that we have to look in nooks and crannies to find it. And when Ron said that all of this rain is a blessing, it's like, it's somebody else's blessing, not mine. There's a movie that you may or may not know that it's a silly movie, and they have kids searching in a swimming pool full of oatmeal for a Matchbox car, and the kid who finds the car, the prize is he gets to drink from a fire hose, which is ridiculous. But they turn the fire hose on and the kid's trying to drink. And it's impossible because the blessing is so enormous that you cannot grab a hold of it. The song that we sang was 211, and I'm going to miss the title, but the deep, deep piece. The language that talked about the blessing of God surrounding us above and below. And that there was a kid who jumped off a bridge into the river this week. He went to school with Josiah. He was going to Purdue. And you can feel both the blessing in those words and the horror in those words. And it's because the God is enormous beyond our capacity to comprehend. Just like think about how much water, like how much water we got and how much water is available for the flood. Like it's just we don't have the capacity to wrap our minds around it. We don't have the capacity to wrap our minds about the enormity of God's love for us. We keep record of wrongs. we listened to the story of Jonah and Jonah going to preach to Nineveh, and Jonah was like, "You told me to say this. They're bad people. How dare you forgive them? I want you to smite them because they're bad." We also don't ask God to smite us when we're bad.
Mm.
Oh, the blessing rains down on us. Sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes it's more than we can handle. We do get to drink from the fire hose. Sometimes we're not thirsty afterwards.
Mm. Thank you.
Supposed to wait for the camera.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I'm just thinking about third grade, I think. We made models of all the planets of the solar system. I had Jupiter. And one of the facts I learned about Jupiter is in that red spot, they just have these storms with wind speeds we can't imagine and temperatures we can't imagine 24/7 all the time. And I guess in comparison, I just am thinking about Earth is just this perfect paradise. Um, and it's almost like an event like this is a reminder of God's presence and authority. And I guess I don't have much else to say, but that's just what I'm thinking about. So,
Mm. Thank you.
I can't help but notice the contrast between Genesis 1 and Genesis 6. What a difference 5 short chapters doth make. Because in Genesis 1, in God's creative work, it ended each one of the days or periods, whatever they were, with these simple words, and God saw that it was good. And it was. But when you turn to Genesis 6, it's a different looking story. The question was asked, does God punish us for evil? Well, I don't know. But I know that we do. I'm sitting here thinking about the contrast between utter floods, rain, 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 and drought, because there are places on earth where drought is deadly. But we've seen there could be places on earth where rain is deadly too. But then I got to thinking also of the firestorms of California, and even here in the Midwest, where somebody can start a fire that sweeps across the flat plains and prairies. And I guess it comes down to this for me, that most, if not all, of the deadly natural happenings, so to speak, are of our own hands and hearts. And I'm not a fanatic for weather change and all that kind of stuff, but what we're doing to our good earth, where we need to be stewards of all of it, what we're doing to the atmosphere, what we need to be good stewards of all of it, has a difference on the ocean currents, has an effect upon the land upon which we live. And it really comes down, I guess, to being flat out good stewards of what God made when he made it, and he said, and it was good. I don't know that we'll see in our lifetimes any utter destruction, but unless we can somehow turn around our avarice and our greed and everything else that we take from the earth that makes the earth shake and burn and flood and so forth, we need to be better stewards. And we need to do that in Christ's name.
Thank you.
We are at about 3 minutes before the top of the hour. There may be still someone who knows you are being led to share something, so we're going to wait for another minute or so. And if that's true of you, please be faithful to share what is on your heart. Somebody may need to hear what you have to say. If nothing else, I hope that this hour illustrates for you the incredible power of your good singing. Because we sang, "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing," and it just poured. It's been raining really hard here ever since we sang that hymn, for those of you online who may not realize it. And if you've been hearing static on your audio, that's because those are lightning strikes outside the meeting house here. It has been kind of disrupting the audio in here too. I don't know that I have ever been in this room on a Sunday morning and heard it rain this hard, that long, ever before. So this is one of those historic days, I think. But that's okay. We're still going to sing these hymns, "Come Thou Fount," and if you will grab your hymnal, let's sing the other one. This is number, if I can find the right date, 289. "There Shall Be Showers of Blessing." That's the one that Mary played in her prelude. So let's sing 289 as a closing hymn. There shall be showers of blessing. This is the promise of love. There shall be seasons refreshing, sent from the Savior above. Showers of blessing, showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling. There shall be showers of blessing, precious refining and rain, over the hills and the valleys, send the wilderness will rain. Showers of blessing, showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we need. There shall be showers of blessing, sent in the promise of Lord. Unto us all refreshing, honor your word. Showers of blessing, showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we need. There shall be showers of blessing, know that today they will fall. Now sing caressing, as of Jesus recall. Showers of blessing, showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we need. Thank you yet again for great singing. And thank you for those who have shared something today in your reflection on what we're going through and what the scriptures and the principles of the kingdom of God might have to say to us, might have to teach us about how we get through this together. I would simply echo all of the words that have been said about gratitude for people who are pitching in to help each other. This is going to be kind of a long deal, I think, and getting out of this will take some time. I hope that you all feel blessed to be a part of a group that has responded the way that this one has. We got to see it Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and yesterday. People really care about this faith community, and the trustees of this faith community really care about our facilities. And they gave so sacrificially of their time and energy and efforts to come and make sure that things were going to be okay here. So count your blessings. They are many. And I would simply ask as we close this time that we all remain open to learn from the Lord what He might want to teach us about going through something like this. We shouldn't just blow through this and think, oh, well, the weather. There may be more to it than that. God may have things that He would like to make clear for us if we will just pay attention. I still think that that last verse of Genesis chapter 6 is kind of important. Noah complied with everything God asked of him, and he did it gratefully. That ought to be us too. Let's all stay attentive to what God may want to teach us. By going through this, 1 in 1,000, that's pretty long odds of this happening. I worry, and I appreciate Bill Wagner saying what he did. I worry that it won't be 1,000 years before we see this again. Because he's right. So many humans have altered the state of our environment that these things can happen much more readily and much more easily. So we do need to heed Bill's advice. We need to be good stewards of this planet and treat it as the beautiful home that God has blessed us with. So again, thank you for being here for this today, and thank you for the things that have been shared, and thank you for your good singing. Thank you for the solitude too, the quietness, the stillness of the silence. After this noisy week of trouble, it was a privilege and a blessing to get to sit with you in God's presence and simply listen to His calming voice, calling us to hang in there and keep on doing what we are led to do. Before we go, we'll look at some prayer concerns and some announcements. If that one's loose, I'll use it. On the announcement side of the sheet, the trustees are scheduled this afternoon for their August meeting at 3:30. That will be by Zoom or over at the parsonage. So trustees, take note of that. I think we should still be able to pull off these meetings, at least we hope so. The Missions and Social Concerns Committee is then scheduled to meet at 4:30 p.m. today, and that will be by Zoom. So committees, take note and join if you are at all, if it's at all possible. Today is Food Pantry Sunday at Winchester Friends, always the third Sunday of the month, when we encourage people to just contribute a staple food item or a couple of bucks to help our neighbors who cannot afford adequate nutrition. And believe it or not, I remembered this morning, the Quaker Oats tin is over on the table. So if you'd like to contribute and help the food pantry, you can drop a couple of dollars in there, and that will be a blessing to all who need that help. There is also an offering plate on the table at the parlor entrance over there that is there to receive regular contributions for Winchester Friends ministries and support of those ministries. Thank you once again for the incredible way that you so faithfully share your resources for the good of God's kingdom. Please be blessed by that and keep doing it. Keep doing it. I do want to, folks online can't read this, so I'm going to read this because it's really important to Pam and me that you hear this. This is titled Flood Recovery. The meeting house basement was flooded by excess rain on Wednesday and Friday this week, and there are numerous large fans running today with electrical cords everywhere in an effort to dry out the carpet downstairs. So unless it's very urgent, please don't go down to the basement today. We don't want anybody tripping over cords or running into an electric line that would shock you. So just please don't go down there unless you really need to. And the other assignment, please thank Doug Simmons, the chairman of the clerk of the trustees, Dave Longnecker, Rob and Valerie Pearson, Cleo McFarland, and Marcia Holliger for their loaned equipment and for their hours of hard work since last Wednesday to limit the damage to our building and to remove the water from the basement. They have done heroic work, and we just can't thank them enough. So thank you all for pitching in. We live here. It doesn't count. It has been a privilege and a blessing to get to work alongside all of those folks this week for a cause that matters a lot to all of us. Okay, so I'll go down to the bottom of the page on the little box of this week. We don't have anything on the schedule until Wednesday, the 19th of August. But on Wednesday, we will have intercession salad supper at 5:30 over at the parsonage, and you are always all welcome to show up there. We'll share what food we have as we spend some time in prayer. Then on Wednesday at 7 o'clock, the Welcome Class Bible Study will meet by Zoom, 7 p.m., to study lesson number 11 this week in the current quarterly. The lesson is titled Forgiven, and it will be a good one. So please, if you'd like, join us. There are still some quarterlies on the table over there. You can grab one and talk to Pam about, be sure to get the Zoom link. So that's all on Wednesday. On Saturday this coming week, the 22nd of August, the art club will meet here in the Meeting House Dining Hall, assuming that it's dried out, at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. And they share lunch together and work on their art projects. So that's on Saturday, the 22nd at 11 o'clock. Next Sunday, August 23, we will be back here at 10 o'clock for worship sharing. We hope that you will join us, and we hope you'll bring a friend as well. We will also be online next Sunday morning at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. And looking just a little farther ahead, on Monday, the 24th of August, the Ministry and Oversight will have their August meeting, 7 o'clock that evening by Zoom or over at the parsonage. Just a couple of other things. Kristen's Kitchen baked goods are over on a table in the parlor. We hope that you'll stop and shop. There are also some Compassion Garden vegetables. Pam brought 2 eggplants over from her garden across the street early this week. It was Tuesday or Wednesday or somewhere along in there. And I thought she had soccer balls in her hand. They weren't long, elongated, shaped like normal eggplants. We've gotten so much water and it absorbed it all that they just looked like purple soccer balls. Huge. They were the biggest eggplants I've ever seen. Ostrich eggplants, I guess we'll call them. Anyway, there are some of those over there too in the parlor. And all of the donations, free will offerings for those baked goods and for those vegetables will go to help FUM's ministries in Belize. So please take a look, see if there's anything you can use at home this week. And just a note, we had to cancel because we were up to our eyeballs in squeegeeing and sweeping water out of the floors on Wednesday. We made the decision to not have monthly meeting for business. We had no reports, were still under process. We didn't have time to work on those. So the August, after consultation with Marcia Critch, the clerk, we have just canceled the August monthly meeting, and we will do double duty in September when we gather. That will be on September the 9th. So take note of that. If there is an emergency need for a monthly meeting, the clerk will call for that meeting and we'll let everyone know. Those are the announcements that we were aware of. If there are anything that needs to be added, you'll need to let us know. Over on the prayer concern side of the sheet, you'll see that Becky Edmonds has been back home today, not at Morrison Woods anymore, but still it's a good thing to continue praying for Becky's well-being and her progress towards good health, and for Nate, who is working hard to help her. So keep her in your prayers. Please continue praying for all of those on our cancer list. That includes Linda Wagner, the daughter-in-law of Bill and Joyce. Lana Critch is Eileen's daughter-in-law. Coy Applegate is a relative of the Pearsons. Jan McVeigh is our friend down in Southwest Indiana. Tyler Huffman is a former attender dealing with brain cancer. And there are, I'm sure, others that you know about who are dealing with cancer in some way. Please always let the Spirit prompt you to pray for those that you are aware of. Savannah and Christian are next on our list. Week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. Babies have a mind of their own. So you will learn that repeatedly throughout the years ahead. Pray for the Hartzells as they await the birth of this baby, and pray that that will go smoothly and that the baby will be strong and healthy. Just pray for the whole deal. Please also pray for our friends who are in assisted living and nursing facilities. The list includes Kay Mendenhall. Tony stopped by here at the meeting house early this morning and said he was going straight to Union City because Kay had had a pretty bad day yesterday. So please pray for Kay and Tony Mendenhall, especially today, that Kay will improve and have a better day. Also, Kenny Girton is out at Pine Knoll. Keith Kendall and Lou Arnett are both down at Richmond at Friends Fellowship. Stan Hendrickson, Betty Locke, and Betty Monks are all resident out at Summers Point in the assisted living facility there. Please pray for them and for any others that you're aware of who are in such situations. We saw a thing on Friday evening from South Sudan, and it showed the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, places that Pam and I are pretty familiar with. The Ebola crisis is worsening, not getting better. The medical experts who were there on the ground said this is bad. Please don't stop praying for those who are suffering from the Ebola crisis. Please also continue praying for Friends United meeting. It's going through a really difficult period. There will be a leadership change soon at FUM. It's already underway. The search for a new general secretary is underway. So please be praying for them and for personnel and ministries all over the world that are being supported and staffed by FUM. Next on this line is to pray for our neighbors, all those in Indiana and Ohio, the ones that we are most aware of who are dealing with this flooding. It's just a time to pray. Even when we are worried about ourselves, we need to be praying for those who are going through far worse. In addition to that, we learned that Hawaii is probably being hit by a hurricane maybe today, and it has at least the potential to cause a lot of trouble. We also need to remember all those who are dealing with the wildfires in the American West and in Europe and in Canada, other places as well. Please pray also for what seems to be a steady parade of earthquake victims. The latest in Indonesia, before that Colombia, before that Japan, before that Venezuela. When will it stop? It feels like Noah in the ark, wondering when the rain is going to stop. When you hear those reports, you know that there are people suffering and being harmed in those places. Please pray that God will be with them. Pray for all who are struggling with these things in these days. And please don't stop praying for peace. Those situations don't seem to be getting a lot better either. And it's so important that the people of God pray without ceasing, that God will speak peace into those situations of violence. Those are the things we were aware of. If there are others that should be added urgently, please speak up now. Online, you'll need to unmute. Here in the room, you can. Valerie Pearson.
Tyler Huffman has finished his treatments, and they'll be doing testing sometime around the weekend of Labor Day to see if he's going to need anything else. And we learned yesterday, our nephew Coy he's doing better cancer-wise, but he's had some new things pop up that they aren't letting us share right now. So just keep him in your prayers also.
Thank you, Val. Appreciate those updates. Anything else? No lights flashing, no arms waving. Let's trust that we've got it right. God knows, and He can inform us and prompt us if need be. Let's all spend just a moment and hold these things before the Lord. Let's pray. Lord, you have heard our conversation today. You know our hearts and our minds. You know the things that weigh us down, that trouble us. You know the friends of ours who are in trouble and need your help and your presence on this day. We would simply express to you our agreement with your best intentions for each of those people and in each of those situations, that you would bring about the good of your kingdom to the places where people are struggling. As especially this flooding event seems to continue going, we ask that you would be close to those who have lost so much already, who are just weary and worn out and afraid of what may be coming ahead. Please be with them. Please send help to them. Care for them and meet their needs on this day. And we ask, Lord, that you would show us how we can be your agents in these hard situations going forward. Help us to be sensitive to your touch and obedient to your call upon us to be of help to someone else. And help us to always do it in your name and to be unashamed of that your love has motivated us to show kindness to our neighbors. Make us those kinds of people in the week that is ahead, and show us where you need us to be at work. We thank you for this time together in worship. We commit all of these concerns to you, all of these lives, and ask that you will do your very best for them. And with our gratitude, we thank you and worship you for the ways that you help us so faithfully. Go with us from this place in your Spirit, we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. I'll bet I don't need to tell you what that song was. Turn your eyes upon Jesus. Thank you, friends, for being here today. Be safe as you head home. Keep your life jackets handy. You may need them before this is over. Thank you once again for getting out on an adventuresome day to be together in the Lord's presence. Go in peace. Those of you online will leave this open, and you are welcome to chat a little bit if you like. Yes.